Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Some good news and some bad news for you to start this show off with. Good news is we hit 100 subscribers, which I'm pretty excited about. It's a completely arbitrary number, but it feels special for some reason. And then the bad news, I mounted this vise, this tail vise, and drilled this dog hold system in the last video that I did. However, something went wrong with it and I lost a bunch of footage from it. So the video that ended up getting posted was only like 2 minutes of like a 12-minute video on it. And so I ended up just taking it down. It's a pretty easy build, but I thought it was something cool to share with you guys because I think it's a pretty useful thing. With that in the past though, in this video we're going to be building these 3 different types of bench dogs. Each of them have a little bit of a different use and they're all pretty easy, but I think it was a fun build. I'm definitely going to use them, and stick around and we'll do it together. Thanks guys. So we're going to start off with cutting down these 3/4 inch dowels, and that's what's going to actually go into the bench dog system that we drilled. A second ago I just showed you that V-groove in a 2x4. I'm going to put the dowel in there to hold it down a little bit more securely so then I can cross cut it on the bandsaw. And I'm just cutting these into 3-inch sections. That seems to be about the right depth for these. And they don't need to be particularly square. We're going to sand them down a little bit later, but even that, they don't need to be perfect by any means. So now for 2 of the bench dogs that we're going to make, they're going to require a top to them. So here I'm just cutting a square out of a 1x4. Doesn't have to be anything super pretty. We're just looking for something with 4 sides. And then here I believe that I was measuring at 16 inches for the first one that we're going to make. However, when I got to a knot in the board, I decided that maybe 14 inches was better, just because we avoided that knot. So we're going to start off by making the biggest of the 3 with that 14-inch board. And here what I'm doing is just trying to line up the center lines on these as best as I can. You can have a little bit of wiggle room on them, but you don't want too much. And then I'll drill a 3/4 inch hole in the center of them to accept those pegs that we created. And this is where things start to get a little bit squirrely. Once this drill bit bites in, it cracked my knuckles pretty good, and that didn't feel great. So then I had the bright idea of clamping it down, and it still managed to get away. A little bit more clamping pressure, and it snapped. So back to cutting another one. 2 clamps seem to work much better, and I think that with this spade bit kind of cutting that outline, it helped a little bit, and we ended up with a much better hole with this one. With those holes cut, it's a pretty simple glue up, just surrounding the peg with glue, shoving it in, and then waiting for a little while. Putting this on a flat surface where you don't care if you get glue on, you can kind of just push the peg to the bottom, and as long as that board is sitting flat, it's going to be close enough for our purposes. And then while that dries, we're going to work on the smallest of the 3, and probably my favorite just for its simplicity and how easy it is to use. I'm just doing my best to draw a straight line across the top, bringing those lines down and then along the edges. And then we're just going to freehand this on the bandsaw. I promise my fingers aren't as close as they might look in this video. And none of these lines have to be perfect. This is going to be a work holding device, not a piece of furniture that too many people are going to see. And there you can see how simple it is. And then after that glue had dried from our first 2, I took it over to this DIY edge sander I made. I'll have a link for that up above. And just cleaned up the glue lines and the edges a little bit. And this was a really quick part of the process, almost unnecessary. It just helps it look a little bit nicer. So this is the big one that we made, and it works really well when you just need a stop for something, but you still want to be able to move it around pretty quickly. Using it with this biscuit joiner, I think, is how I'm going to use it most often. I would say it's probably pretty similar to how a traditional woodworker might use a bench hook, and I'm pretty happy with it. The other two work pretty similarly to each other, especially with this small dowel in my tail vise. It allows it to clamp together, a long ways down the workbench. The square one provides a bigger surface for the piece to register on, which I think is its advantage. Whereas this little dowel one, it's quicker and easier to make, and you could realistically have one in every hole if you wanted. Both of them provide pretty good clamping pressure, and I've used both of them so far with pretty good luck. The other advantage with this one is it can just slide underneath and you can keep working. Hey guys, if you stuck through it this long, I wanted to thank you for watching the whole thing. And if you thought that it was a cool video, I'd love it if you liked and subscribed. It really helps the channel out a lot, and I'm having fun making these videos, and seeing the response from you guys makes me want to keep making more. So just want to thank you guys, and have fun building.